Well, how frustrating was that? It ended up being Grimsby Town 0, Chesterfield 1, and it was nothing but frustrating. The Mariners had, all in all, I suppose, a good afternoon. But it's kind of like the second week running where we've been the better side and not got what we should have got. You've just got to try and keep calm, as we do. A lot of things going about the referee. I'll get into that during this review. But I'll start with the team that did start. We made 3 changes from last weekend's draw. Barrow, Christy Pym started in goal, Harvey Rogers, Terrell Warren, Cam McJanet and Reece Staunton. George McEachran went back into his usual role, replacing Geza Torrey, who's obviously on international duty. Kieran Green, Charles Vernon and Jamie Walker, with Jace Cabia and Danny Rose up front. I'm going to give that a bit of praise, actually, that front two during this game. And the bench was Charlie Casper, Neil Eccleston, Zach Gilzenon, Evan Corey, Dara Burns, Justin Malazor and Clark Adore. All I can say for this game to start with is that Town started really well. The first 20 minutes or so, there was some real good football played between both sides, to be fair, Chesterfield and us. We were actually kicking towards the pontoon end, which we don't normally do that first half, but obviously we'd probably lost the toss. So we ended up heading towards the pontoon end, and most of the early chances fell towards the Mariners, really. It was quite interesting because Jays had a good first time just outside the 16-yard box, 6-yard box, apologies. Good shot to Jays. Didn't quite get it sort of in the corner where he needed it, and Zach Hemming, the Chesterfield keeper, made a good save on that one. Again, a lot of good play. Kept trying to get the ball in the box. Danny Rose was being his sort of tactile self, always making himself tricky, and trying to put under pressure. Jays, you can tell Jays looks more comfortable as well with Danny up there. You can see that as well, and some good play for both sides without really many clear cut chances. But it was a good football match the first 45 minutes, and we looked the better side, which Artel mentioned in his post-match. The club that we were the better side first half, there's no getting away from that. Jamie Walker and Reece Staunton, that they just sort of came in and really looked like they'd never been outside. You know, they were competent, they were cracking quality, you can see that. And at 0-0, you'd take that because Chesterfield didn't really create much in the way of chances. In fact, I don't think they created it. They might have had one chance, actually they didn't. Now I think about it, I was going to say, I think they created one chance. They didn't. They had a little bit of territory, which about half an hour, and you kind of expect them to do. That was the chance I was thinking of, the Ronan Drury chance, where was their only real chance in the first half, but he sort of dragged that shot past the post. It was further away than it looked. Jay's had a chance as well just near the end of the first half where he He dragged his header wide, restarting with a crossing for that. But 0-0 at half time. You're thinking, two good footballing sides. What you can't say about Paul Cook is that he's a very good League Two and lower league manager. He's becoming really Mr. Chesterfield. And two good teams going at it in the first half. 0-0. Town definitely edged it, but wasn't to be in the first half. But like I said, not many clear-cut chances. Coming out of the second half, you're thinking, okay, just just try and up it just a little bit, and but the referee started to round about the second half. I think the referee lost the plot. Now I usually defend referees, even in town games. I usually try and defend referees. The referee kind of was indecisive. Some of the decisions were laughable. Before we talk about the goal, he missed a blatant foul directly in front of me on Justin Malazor when he came on, which I'll get into shortly, where I'm thinking, how in the world did you not see that as a foul? To me, that's him not being up to play. There was times in the first half and in the second where he was looking towards his assistant to give the call a lot of the time, and he was very indecisive. But probably one of the poorest referees I've seen at Wundle Park this season, to be honest. Indecision is the most ridiculous thing, and he was giving fouls that weren't fouls. He was giving fouls that were. He wasn't giving fouls. Sorry, that were fouls. It wasn't a good performance overall by the referee. People were saying about the annoyance about the sending off. But just before that, actually, in the second half, that we came out sort of again with the same sort of tempo, and early chances by Jamie Walker and Charles Vernon. Did have efforts on target where, to be fair to Hemming, he made a couple of good saves. Christie had nothing really all game to do apart from one. His kicking was a lot better. I'm thinking this is the kind of game that Christie Pym needed after last week's a little bit of a horror show for him, and we caused our own issue on 53 minutes. It was Christie Pym got sent off. Now, from where I'm in the main stand, quite difficult to tell. Vernon made a back pass initially, and then it looked like Cam Janet. I thought it was Vernon to start with, but I was corrected and said at the end of the game said it was McJanet, and he somehow just didn't get enough on the pass, and because it was a loose pass, Christie had to come out, but then he was kind of indecisive, and then he went in, tried to pull out, and then went in again, and it was a red card. I will look at that back again when the highlights become available, but usually when the goalkeeper does that, you're always going to get a red card. Christie did. Charlie Casper came on in his place for his Football League debut, and fair play to Charlie, really. That's the only real chance he was going to get, was basically by Christie making a mistake or an injury. So again, now after that happened, we sort of got down to it. We weren't overawed by Chesterfield. They weren't flooding us with loads of chances. They started to get the pressure on. Definitely, they started to put pressure on the side a little bit more. They were getting corners a little bit more regularly, but we were dealing with a lot of them. And then in the second half, we weren't as much our side more than Chesterfield. But again, it wasn't anything that our defence and that wasn't dealing with. But obviously going down to 10 minutes did sort of change the dynamic. And unfortunately on 71 minutes, it was a low cross by McCanday, who is one of Chesterfield's standout players this season, really. He put a low cross in, and unfortunately, Harvey Rogers, who didn't have the best of games today, in all honesty, turned the ball into his own net, which I didn't notice. Like I said, from where I was on in the ground, I couldn't necessarily see that. I thought it was a goal by their player, but it was Harvey in the end that got it, and be very, very annoyed and frustrated, I'm sure, to give the own goal away, because really, apart from that, it was an even game. I think a draw would have been at worst for Grimsby, really. But it got turned in by Harvey Rogers, and that went after that. That was when we got the foul on, didn't get the foul that we should have had, right in front of me. This was absolutely right in front of me. It was what the referee would probably say that this foul I'm talking about is right on the touchline, right in front of where the wheelchairs are, and Justin Amarzod gone in with their right wing back, and I literally don't know what the referee was seeing. He might say it was 6.5 dozen of the other. No, it wasn't. How in the world he didn't give it as a foul in Grimsby's favour? He gave it to Chesterfield. Beg to differ. And the referee just seemed to get worse throughout the game. He started well for the first 20 minutes or so, and then gradually started to make odd decisions. Grimsby again, though, even after the own goal, they were trying. It was never backs to the wall against Chesterfield. It was never felt like we couldn't get back into it. But you could tell the frustration, you could tell the tiredness. We did end up at the end of the game with no recognised striker on the pitch. I think what Artel was trying to do was get the pace up there, because obviously Justin Marzor came on for Jace KB on 56 minutes. Zach Gilzanen did replace Danny Rose on 77, and obviously Vernon got replaced by Casper after the red card. Evan Corey replaced Jamie Walker on 77, and Clark O'Dore replaced George McEachran on 77 as well. It just sort of took the sting out of us a little bit, really, and we didn't really necessarily look the same after that. We did have some late pressure. We got a couple of corners late on. There was one right at the end where Charlie'd come up, and nothing was quite landing for Grimsby today either. But in the end, they were able to hold off. There was 8 minutes of injury time, but nothing really came of that injury time, and Chesterfield were able to hold on. Unfortunately, the scoreboard wasn't working today, apparently due to water damage. So obviously, with the weather that we've had the last couple of days in town, it obviously has affected the scoreboard. But 1-0, very frustrating today. Very, very frustrating. I'm frustrated. We deserved more than we got, but it's what happens when you don't put the ball in the net. I think KB and Rose are working well. I think Rose, obviously, he's a good, wily, crafty striker that knows how to win free kicks. I think Jays will learn from that, working alongside Rose. But it's another game that we've lost. Whether we deserve to or not is another story. I would say no, but that's what happens, especially when it's actually your own player that gets the goal. It makes it even worse, doesn't it? Because really, Chesterfield didn't give us much. Artel did say in his post-match that, they never really cut us open. Not really. I think defensively, I thought the lads did really, really well. I do want to give a special shout. For me, man of the match, I'd want to give it to Rhys Stoughton, because I thought he was, for us, probably our best player. Probably attacking-wise, I'd probably give it to Jamie Walker. To be honest, Kieran Green, you can't fault Greeny. Greeny's always... he's the man at the minute. But Jamie Walker and Rhys Stoughton were the best two. I'd give it to Rhys because he did, he really did play really well. But again, that's the thing. You play well, but you don't get the result. And like everyone will say, they won't look at that and go, well, Grimsby played well. And, they'll look at that and say, well, Grimsby lost to Chesterfield. So that'll be more of a disappointment and a frustration. It's not like we're being outplayed in these games at the moment. And our league form at the minute, 2 defeats in our last 3 league games, it's not worrying, but it's a little bit, it's a little bit of a patch. But I credit to the 7,407 that were there. Credit to the over 1,000 supporters of Chesterfield that made the trip over. Frustrating, annoying, angering. I'll give you just a few stats before we finish on the game. Chesterfield just edged possession, but the Mariners had 12 shots to their 8. Chesterfield only had 1 shot on target, and they didn't even score. Total shots, we had 4 on target. There wasn't much in the game at all. 19 touches in the opposition box. Chesterfield got 24. That happened more so after Pym's red card. The goalkeeper only had to make 1 save. Whereas, their goalkeeper had to make 4. We were more aerial duels, 18 to 15. Fouls committed, 14-11 in Town's favour there. 11 corners. Didn't feel like we had 11 corners, but 11 corners to 5 for Chesterfield. So you'd say, that red card definitely did change things around. And, if you look at the passes, we still passed more. Our accuracy was better by about 3%. Backward passes 48 to 41. Forward passes 144 to 150. We edged that. Total long balls, we play 81 each. Successful third passes, they had us on that 79 to 58. Total crosses 22 to 19. There wasn't a great deal stats wise, play wise, but I would say, chances wise and dangerous play, you give it more to Grimsby. But again, that's where the frustration comes in, and another disappointing afternoon, frustrating afternoon for the Mariners. So that is the review for this one. Hopefully we can get back on the horse, as I said, fairly soon. Obviously, Christy Pym will miss, I believe it'll be 3 games. So he'll miss Swindon, and that's a game you really need a number 1 keeper in there, but you never know. But we move on. If you did and you were at the game today, do let me know down below what you guys honestly thought. There was a couple of errors that we shouldn't have made, hence Cameron Janet's mistake. The own goal by Harvey Rogers, not a great game for either of those guys. And defensively, obviously. And but again, it sounds easy. We're going to dust ourselves off. But again, still not get carried away. We are down in 9th, depending on the evening game for Gillingham. As I'm playing that, as I'm recording this, they're actually going at Crawley. So we'll see what happens there. But as for us today, just good play, just not to be, and we have to learn how to put games like this away. And all I can say is, again, like I said against Bow, we're going to dust ourselves off and go again. Like I said, Christie's going to miss 3 games. Let me know down below what you thought if you were at the game. How annoyed are you? How frustrated are you? Are you like me? Because I'm as frustrated as any of you, really. Frustrated as any of the fans that left the ground today. It's a game we shouldn't have lost, and we did. And I think what makes it worse is they didn't even score the goal they got. It makes it even... That makes it sting even more. I thought defensively a lot of the lads did well with 10 men, but goes down as a loss. So let me know down below what you thought of the game. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. I'll be back for a preview for Swindon next week. Also, don't forget there is the youth team in action next week in the FA Youth Cup. So if you can get down to Blundell Park, get down to support the lads as well. And the Girls Win Cup action, I believe, this week as well. So all things considered, hopefully they can get a couple of good results just to keep the morale up. And let me know down below what you thought of the game today. Like I said, once again, like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. And I'll be back with the preview for Swindon. And let's see if we can turn this little blip of form around. We'll find out soon. In the meantime, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Up the Mariners. And on to the next, I guess. See you soon. Ta-da.